To the video for the mat050 final exam review packet. This is page 10, starting with question 25. Question 25 is just asking us what's happening on the graph. So determine the behavior between the points. So from points A to B, if I look at this, is it increasing, decreasing, or constant? And you can see that it is increasing. And is the slope positive or negative? If it increases as you go to the right, then it is positive. So B to C, this section here, it is not increasing, it is not decreasing, it is constant. And so as a result, the slope has to be 0 because it's flat. The change in y is 0. You divide that by the change in x. Change in x is 2. Change in y is 0. Slope has to be 0. C to D, if I look at that, if I go from C to D as I'm going to the right, it decreases. Which means the slope is negative. The change in y is negative, the change in x is positive. So I have a negative divided by a positive, which gives me a negative. Between D and E, the graph goes up again, so it's increasing. The y value is getting bigger, which means again that the slope is positive. And between E and F, all of a sudden it drops down, so it's decreasing. Which means it's negative. Okay. And that's the end of question 25. Pause the video a moment, look at question 26. When you think you have an answer, come back and compare your answer to mine. Okay, now that you've looked at 26, furniture stores sell luxury recliners for a price P equals 300. At this price, consumers have been buying X equals 600 recliners. So they're giving us a P and an X, like a Y and an X. They just call it P for price, but it's like a Y and X. So they're giving us two coordinates. They find that if they lower the price to 275, then consumers will buy X equals 675. So they decrease the price $25. They sell 75 more recliners. So they're giving us 2 points, and they tell us that assume that the relationship is linear. So that means P equals mx plus b. Write an equation of the form P equals mx plus b that relates the price to the number of recliners sold. So to start off with, I'm going to write coordinate pair. So if P is 300, X is 600, we put the X first, 600, 300. And then we look, so they find that they lower the price to 275. So P comes second, 275. Then they will sell, or people will buy, 675 recliners. So I've got 2 points. Gives me an x1 and y1, x2, y2. I can calculate the slope by doing the change in y. So I'm going to make this y2, and I'll make this x2. Doesn't really matter whether it's 1 or 2, but if this is y1, if 275 is y2, then 675 has to be x2. The x2 and the y2 have to go together. So I come back up here to do my slope, and I do change in y, y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, y2 275 minus 300, which is going to give me a negative number. We know what to do with negative numbers. 675 then. If I start with the 275 in the numerator, I have to start with the 675 in the denominator. And so I keep my y2 and my x2 together, minus 600. So in the numerator I get negative 25. Denominator I get positive 75. Which I can reduce to negative 1/3. So I write the equation. P equals negative, I know 1/3 is 0.33, so I'll write 0.33x plus b, which I don't know yet. I don't know b. But I've got a good strategy, because I know this equation has to work for the 600 and the 300. So if x is 600, p has to be 300. So I'm going to say that 300 equals negative 0.33 times 600 plus b. And then I can say 300 equals 200, negative 200. Negative 0.33 times 600 gives me negative 200 plus b. I add 200 to both sides. And that tells me b equals what can I write that? B equals 500. So when I write my equation, P equals negative 0.3, this is not going to work. P equals negative 0.33x plus 500. Okay. Question B then, write an expression that represents the total revenue if X recliners are sold. And it reminds us that revenue equals X times the price. I'm going to say R equals X. And I've got an equation for P, the price. I'm going to put that in. Negative 0.33x plus 500. If you like, you can distribute the x. You can get negative 0.33x squared plus 500. We may have to do that later, but right now I'm going to leave that the way it is, because that's an equation. That is an equation. It represents total revenue. Cost to produce the recliners consists of a fixed overhead cost of $66,500 plus $20 per recliner. So now I write an equation of the form C equals mx plus b, or cost equals mx plus b. I don't have to do the x2 minus x1, y2 minus y1, because in this case I'm actually given the slope. It says $20 per recliner. If the number of recliners x changes by 1, the cost changes by 20. So I already have the slope. And we know the fixed costs represent the y-intercept. So I can say C equals 20x plus 66,500. That's all I have to do on C. Find an equation that represents the total profit for the store based on the number of recliners sold. Profit equals revenue minus cost. I'm going to now go back up here. I want to put this all together. So I'm going to go back up here and say negative 0.33x squared. I'm distributing my x plus 500x. So that's going to be my revenue. P equals negative 0.33x squared plus 500x minus the quantity 20x plus 66,500. And now I'm going to subtract those two polynomials. Doesn't really say I have to, but I'm going to do it just to make it look pretty. Minus 0.33x squared. 500 x's, I'm going to subtract 20 x's. I get plus 480x. And since I'm subtracting the parentheses, I also have to subtract the 66,500. And if you think about it, if you're subtracting the cost, you need to subtract the fixed costs as well. You don't want to add the fixed costs. So we have to subtract the 66,500. And it looks like that's the end of page 10. Go ahead and do page 11, see if you have questions on that.